everybody, I'm Danger Gen Vex, and today I wanted to do something a little different in the vlog. Now, most of you know that I'm from South Africa. I mean, I've said it several times. I even have a whole video where I talk about, how the South African accent is a lie. But, in a few videos, I've mentioned things that I love about my country and things that I don't like about my country, and, some of the problems that we have here and the like. And on a whim, I decided that I wanted to know how some of the other people here in South Africa felt. Now, I know that a lot of people really do have, they have their issues with some of the things that's happening in the country. But it's often very easy to think that just my opinion, if you're watching me going on about how I feel about South Africa and things that are happening in South Africa, it's very easy to think, yeah, but that's just one person's opinion. And it is just one person's opinion. So this morning, yesterday morning by now, yesterday morning I went onto our local community forum, and I posted a question. I asked the community to please, irrespective of race, of age, just to tell me what they love about South Africa and what they don't love about South Africa. And I got a few comments. I got a few people who were actually very eager to give honest and heartfelt answers. And I wanted to show those answers to you today and have a bit of a chat about them, just to give you a bit of insight about my country, because it's not all bad. It's not good, but it's not all bad. So I've got the comments here. I'm going to put them up on screen for you, and let's go. Dion M. van Heerden says, what he loves about South Africa is that it's a country with immense potential, with beautiful people and a hopeful future. And what he doesn't like about South Africa is the incompetence, greed and corruption of the politicians with personal agendas and zero care for this country's people, rule, destroy and steal whatever future there might be for us and from us. I have to agree with a lot of this, and I've said it before. South Africa has amazing potential. The country has a lot of farming potential. We have the mines, we have tourism, we have amazing wildlife. There's a lot about South Africa to love. However, the government currently in power, and I know this isn't, this is a little controversial, but still, this is my opinion and this is how I feel as well. So the government that's currently in power often feels more like it's being run more like they just want to stuff their own pockets with and just spewing agendas that encourage hatred that we should have let go over 20 years ago, and it's still here and still affecting the country. But thank you, Dion, for your comment. I appreciate it very much. Sue van den Merwe says, what I love about South Africa is our weather, our traditions like braai, biltong and melktart. I love our hope and fighting spirit. I love that we stand together when the going gets tough. What I hate about living in South Africa is that we have to live behind locked and barricaded doors and windows. No more freedom of children camping in the backyard in their tents, or sleeping in tree houses, playing in the bush, forests, or swimming in dams and rivers. because, sadly, it is way, way too dangerous. This is the sad truth. First off, thank you very much, Sue, for your comment. With what she loves about South Africa, I have to agree. I mean, I do often say that I'm freezing and I'm ice cold, but even when it gets, our coldest here, it's not as cold as it gets in some of the northern parts of the world during winter. And, our weather is generally quite nice and balmy. I could do with a little less heat, but it's generally very, very nice weather. And, I think I've mentioned it before, but I love braai and I adore biltong. Biltong is not jerky. I'm just saying this right off the bat. Biltong is way better than jerky, okay? It's also a type of dried meat, but it's divine. And milk tart is, I'm not sure how to describe it, so I'll just put a picture here for you there. This is a milk tart, and it's divine. I know it looks like a pie. Tarts are our equivalents of pies, I guess, in a way. But they're desserts for us. What she hates about South Africa is how we have to practically imprison ourselves. And she's right. I mean, I have a little window here, and it's barred, top to bottom. It's barred. And there's, bars on most of our windows, on our doors. We have safety gates. We have fences that are, sky high with electric fencing and, barbed wire and spikes. And we have alarm systems from this side of the house to that side of the house and around the yard. And, if a stray cat wanders in, everybody's awake because the alarm went off. And It sometimes feels like we're living more in prisons. We have to imprison ourselves. And I remember when I was younger, there was a tree house in my grandparents' yard. And we had so much fun in the tree house. Or we went camping out on a reserve. And that was so much fun. And we could walk around and go play in the park. And these days, that's like asking for trouble. I mean, I'd originally intended to go out to the town hall. We have a park around the town hall, and talking to people and recording it. These questions and answers. And my family strongly discouraged me to do it because it's not safe. The chances of me going out to town hall and coming back with everything or coming back at all was kind of slim. So it's very sad. It's very sad. But that is one of the downsides of our country at the moment. Runel E. Nagel says, I love South Africa because this is where I speak Afrikaans, eat biltong and skaapchops, shout my lungs out for the bokke and travel to amazing places like God's Window and Table Mountain. I hate living in South Africa because I can't look at the sun without being blocked by burglar bars or stop at a robot with my car window open. I can't walk on the beach alone or go walking in the neighborhood without being afraid that I might get attacked. I don't hate South Africa. I'm just sad. For those of you who don't know, the Bokke is the Springboks are our national rugby team. And rugby is a big deal here. I'm not a major personal rugby fan. I won't sit down and watch rugby for hours. But it is a big deal here. Usually it's Saturday or Sunday. You have your braai. That's kind of like a barbecue, just better. But you have your braai and you have your biltong. And you've got the big screen TV with the rugby blaring on loud. And you've got the Boere music and, the Afrikaans music playing. And everybody's having a grand time. And you start early in the morning and end the next morning. And it's great. It really is great. And we used to do that a lot with our family. You'd start by having, breakfast out by the pool in the morning and just go until late at night and just have fun. And it's a good kind of tradition. It's almost a tradition that we have here. We covered the burglar bars and that, but what the robot is, that's traffic lights. For the rest of you. We call them robots, not traffic lights. But we have, stopping, especially at night, stopping at a stop street or at a traffic light, it's not safe, especially not with your window down. If you see people by the robots, you'll notice most people, they just immediately put their windows up because you don't want to take the risk of being hijacked or being a victim of a smash and grab. And unfortunately, again, that is things that happen very often. Now, Renal also mentioned God's Window and Table Mountain, and we have the Kruger National Park and the Cradle of Humankind. We have some of the most amazing and most beautiful places here. That's why we have so many tourists. It's gorgeous, and I'm hoping to visit some of those places in the future to show them to you, if I have someone to go with me. Arnu van Dijk says, I love South Africa for the spirit of the decent man on the street, caring for the elderly and dysfunctional in a dignified manner, filled with respect for the history and experiences built through the years of living. I love South Africa for the abundance of wildlife. We are blessed to be the curators of an awesome nature setting. Beautiful beaches, natural forests, waterfalls, and diverse landscapes seen nowhere else on the planet. I love the real South African spirit of Ubuntu, braaivleis, koeksisters, biltong, snoek, bobotie, and bunny chows. I'm just going to cover that before I move on to what he doesn't like. Yes, like I mentioned, we have an abundance of wildlife and we have a very diverse natural setting. I mean, we've got deserts on the one side to what almost feels like tropical forests on the other. We've got bushveld, we've got savanna, we've got, these thick forests, and we've got the beaches, and we've got mountainous areas and valleys, and it's really, really beautiful, all packed into this small country down at the bottom of Africa. And it's really, really wonderful. Just the food, oh my. So he mentioned koeksisters, and he mentioned bobotie, and there was also snoek and bunny chows. We have a lot of good food around here. If you ever meet a South African and you're going to give them meat on a plate, never give them a tiny steak. Don't give them one tiny little steak. Give them a friggin' steak. In fact, give them two, with cheese and egg on top. And chips. Those are fries. Those as well. Nice thick cut ones. And maybe some mushrooms. And braaibroodjies. That's fire roasted bread. And garlic potatoes. And don't forget the malva pudding. I hate South African politics. Crime, incompetent leadership, entitled religions and their followers. I hate public transport with a special mention to minibus taxis and our railroads. I hate organized systemic crime from as high as the presidency and the government, and the blame game that is played out daily right in front of our eyes. I hate the quota system and corporate racism that is the feeding ground for incompetence and, oh dear, what's this? Cronyism. I hate the anger and fear we have to live in daily behind electric fences and burglar bars and corrupt security firms, including our appalling police. And to end off, I hate potholes and e-tolls. Everything that was first world that has been turned into a third world slum. Yeah, a lot said there. The minibus taxis, we've got a few of them, but minibus taxis. I think I mentioned them in my vlog where I went out. I'm not sure. I did mention them somewhere about having a personal driver. It wasn't the first either or. Having a personal driver that's drunk or something else. And the minibus taxi drivers here are insane. Either they're striking, and if they're not striking, they drive like maniacs. They fill those things to the brim. A lot of the times the taxis aren't even roadworthy. They drive like they don't have a care in the world, like they own the road. And it's, most accidents on our roads involve minibus taxi drivers. It's just not safe. And speaking of roads, Adnu mentioned potholes and e-tolls. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know what potholes is, or potholes are. But, I mean, we can't even rely on the government to fix those. We have private companies doing it out of the goodness of their hearts, going out and fixing the roads when they can and where they can, because we can't rely on the government to do it anymore. And then we've got e-tolls, which the government just implemented out of nowhere, charging you a fortune for the use of these roads, okay, all the main roads, but they don't bother to maintain them properly. And, I mean, e-tolls are a joke. E-tolls are really a joke. People don't really pay them. They don't want to pay them because we don't get the services. And I mean, who really wants to pay a toll every 5 kilometers on a road that they have to use every day, several times? It's a little ridiculous. We've covered, a lot of the faults with the presidency and that kind of thing. But on the mention of the blame game, we have a State of the Nation address annually. And I think these days most people just watch the State of the Nation address to see if they're finally actually going to have a proper State of the Nation address. Because the first hour usually involves people yelling about, give us back the money, or, it's a joke. And by the end of the hour, before they start, 1 or 2 or more parties have walked out. They don't want to be part of it anymore, and so usually it just ends up being the ANC in there, and the problem just continues. But yeah, thank you, Adnu, for your comments as well. Vili Maruma Brown says, "What I love about South Africa is the culture of happiness, unity, love and oneness, especially on events, as well as when standing against bad habits that amaze me." Yes, what I hate most is limited knowledge on living and working together morals. South Africa needs more education on how to live and work together from home, work and school. Thank you very much, Vili, for your comments, and you're absolutely right. Education in South Africa is not where it should be. I mean, the people can stand together like you can't believe. But usually it takes something horrible to make us do that. And we've become so desensitized to the government that it's not something that binds us anymore, not in the way that we actually stand together and do something. We can sit around and complain about it, but people don't really stand together and do something about it anymore. And a quote from my favorite movie, V from Vendetta, is that people shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people. The governments are there for us. They should listen to us, and take care of us, not abuse us and use us as they are currently doing. On the note of education, there's a lot of, like I said, education in South Africa really is lacking. I mean, we try and create schools in a lot of these poorer areas and educate them and help people, make more educated decisions. But South Africa, a lot of the local cultures are still very superstitious, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but the lack of education and proper understanding of things like government and voting and diseases like HIV, it just results in more problems in our country. And it's also something that the government doesn't seem to care much about, because if the people remain uneducated, they will just continue to do what they know. And what they know is to keep the current government in power. They don't understand that just doing the same thing over and over again isn't suddenly going to make it better. They haven't gotten it right in 13 years. If we vote for them again next year, it doesn't mean that they're suddenly going to get it right. So, to make a difference in South Africa, I definitely agree with Vili that education is going to have to be something we need to look at. But it's not something we're going to be able to rely on the government on. Mario Brooklyn Mulapo says, "What I love about South Africa is the different cultural varieties, the spirit of Ubuntu that's still there inside other people, and the race issues slowly fading away. The beautiful place with rich history like Marupeng. And there's two things that I hate. Zuma, crime in general, and his cabinet. Again, when it comes to what people don't like, it's the current government. And again, unless we can educate the people and get the people of South Africa to stand together and vote differently, because we've reached the point where we feel so hopeless in the situation that we just don't vote anymore, which is horrible, because if we don't vote, we can't bring about the change that we so desperately want. So we need to educate the people, we need to change our own habits, and we need to make a difference, or, to bring about change in South Africa. Mario's also, I think he's the third person to mention Ubuntu. So I'm just going to put the definition of Ubuntu here for you guys so that you can see what it means. The basic idea of Ubuntu is, the humanity towards others, understanding your fellow man, respecting your fellow man, working together. And, it's not happening on the scale that it should. I'm not going to say that it's not happening at all, because it does happen. But it's not happening on the scale that it should. And as Mario mentioned, yes, the race issue is slowly fading away. But as I've mentioned in a previous video, it should have faded away a lot faster. But because people don't want to let go of their anger about what happened pre-1994. And it seeps down into the younger generations. And unless we move on, then it's just not going to make a difference. We need to let it go. And thankfully, it is fading away because we, the younger generations, don't want it anymore. We want to be able to say we are equal as a people and mean it. And have it be the truth. We don't want to say we are equal and it's just a bloody Rainbow Nation mantra that, doesn't really mean anything like it does now. We are an amazingly diverse people, as I've mentioned. We've got Indians, we've got the biggest Indian population outside of India living in Durban. So we've got Indians, and we've got white people and black people and yellow people, and we've got everything. We've got tribal cultures and people who still live, in their native kind of habits, and our country is amazing and diverse and beautiful, so much potential. But we're keeping it, or not just we, but in a way because we need to make a difference. We need to step it up and call out our government. But unless we make a change to ourselves, to the people around us, to how we approach situations, to how we treat each other, then things are just going to be more of the same. And that is a very sad thought. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of insight into South Africa and just what some of the people are saying about it and how we feel about it. But, remember, there's good and there's bad, and we do love our country. But we hope for a better future, and maybe we'll be able to bring that about. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button down below. But thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye!